This is exactly the spark the Oilers needed following a bend-but-don't-break win against the Florida Panthers as they weathered the storm after going up 4-1. Florida made it a little bit interesting there, but the Edmonton Oilers capping off their 7-game marathon road trip with a win, and we will recap all of which happened last night. Make sure you stay tuned here to Oilers Digest for the good, the bad, in the ugly. Hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday so far, and I hope you enjoyed that game last night. You know, the Oilers going into Florida, we've seen that team so many times over the past 2 years there, and again, one more time, won't hurt anybody there, and the Oilers get the win last night. But make sure you subscribe here to the channel for any and all Oiler news. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it as the Oilers defeat the Florida Panthers 6-3 there. The score is not indicative of the game last night, two of which were empty netters there. The Oilers going up early 4-1 halfway through the second period there off the stick of Jack Roslovic, continuing his heater there with his 8th and 9th of the season as Anton Lundell puts, a sandwich in the middle of that, making it 2-1 Oilers. And then Mattias Ekholm in the slot there. Great shift that was for Mattias Ekholm, pretty much the entire 5-man unit on the ice, making it 3-1 Oilers before Vasily Podkolzin with a very Leon Draisaitl type goal there from the sharpest of corners, making it 4-1 Oilers. And that pulled Sergei Bobrovsky, and we thought it was, all smooth sailing from here, but then I realized, hey, it's the Edmonton Oilers. It's not going to be that easy as the Florida Panthers get on a couple power plays there. Smeskovich makes it 4-2 Oilers. That was coming off the heels of a power play there. I think it was like 2 seconds away from being a power play goal, and then Sam Reinhart makes it 4-3 Panthers heading into the second intermission. And I was like, you know what? We've seen this story before. The Oilers going up by a multi-goal lead there, and they just fall flat there, and fatigue takes over, and then the other team just decides to impose their will on the game. But the Oilers stayed steady the entire third period there, and they put the game away with 2 empty net goals off the sticks of Connor McDavid with his 10th of the year off of a very questionable goalie pull there by Paul Maurice. He pulled Daniil Tarasov, and then as soon as that happened, Mattias Ekholm gets the puck, gets it up to Connor McDavid, and you want to say that puts the seal on the game with the Oilers, you never know, but Matt Savoy did put the seal on the game, making it 6-3 Oilers there in a huge win, coming back home to Rogers Place. That is something the Oilers desperately needed on the road, but everybody gave an effort last night. I mean, Connor McDavid laying out Jesper Boqvist there to preserve the 4-3 Oiler lead there. That puck was going in if Jesper Boqvist did get his stick on it there. So everybody just banded together and played a very full 60-minute effort. I mean, the deserved to win meter had the Panthers at something like 81%, but I didn't see it that way there. It was mostly just, a lot of perimeter game by the Panthers last night there in the Oilers. Again, bend but don't break. That was pretty much the entire mantra of that gritty, gutsy win there. Shots on goal 38-31 in favor of the Panthers. I didn't show any of the scrap highlights, but AJ Greer and Trent Frederick Greer with a pretty bush league double leg takedown there. But we saw a lot of that, a lot of scrums during the game last night. As again, these two teams are no stranger to each other. Edmonton going 0-2 on both of their power plays. Meanwhile, Florida going 1-4. So the Oilers' penalty kill, sure, wasn't perfect on the night, but again, when you get 1 out of 4, I'll take that any day of the week there. The first star of the game, Jack Roslovic, with his 2 goals of the game, +1 on the night there. I'm loving this guy so far. I mean, he's able to be re-signed on January 1st there, so that should be the first order of business for Mr. Stan Bowman. There's find a way to keep Jack Roslovic on this Oiler roster there. And the guy I haven't even mentioned yet, Evan Bouchard, +5 on the night, 3 assists. He's back to his superstar form there. I saw a lot of, criticism throughout the season there, but over, the past, 5-10 games, Evan Bouchard has reverted back to what we've been used to seeing from him during these Stanley Cup playoffs there. I mean, him and Ekholm were a +10 on the night. Taking a look at the hockey stat cards here, which has a new format there, which I'm really liking. Breaks down the forwards in the defense. You can see at the bottom, Ekholm and Bouchard, phenomenal all night long there. I mean, they were out high danger chance, 8-6, but again, I didn't really see any flaws from their game whatsoever last night. That is the formidable top pair the Oilers have needed all season long there, and they proved that last night there. Looking at the forwards, Vasily Podkolzin, the more he gets the offensive confidence, the better I think he will be there. Again, the hockey's Jack Hart is not really liking, a lot of the defensive side of the Oilers last night, but again, they just had to do, not the bare minimum, but they just, stayed steady, wasn't sitting on the lead whatsoever, as Florida did push, but the Oilers pushed back, and that is what I loved from the team last night. Stuart Skinner, great game from him. It was massive. That took a lot of guts from our team. It was a really long road trip with some tough travel and some really tough teams to play against. So the fact that we were able to come out and get a win is really important. This win was huge for us. A couple tough breaks in the second period to make it a tight game there with the Florida Panthers power plays. So going into the third period, our job was to push back. It's how momentum happens in that game. We had momentum going into the second. They had momentum going into the third. That's kind of how hockey works. So thanks, Stu, for that top tier hockey analysis there. But again, I don't want to say, any of the 3 goals were Stu's fault. I mean, the first one was just a result of Darnell Nurse standing in his kitchen and letting, I do believe it was Anton Lundell, sort of bat away at the puck. But Stu, great game when we needed to have, not a fantastic, not a superb, not a tremendous game, just a decent game. But he gave us a little bit more than that there. And what I'm really liking from the Oilers is they're not so dependent on those point shots from the defensemen there. Any other night you'd see, 2, 3, maybe 4 defensemen in the top 5 of shots on goal, but you see Rosvik, Janmark, McDavid, and the only defenseman in the top 5, Mattias Ekholm there, but I mean, one of his 3 shots on goal was in the slot, and that is how he got his goal last night there. So good to see the Oilers forwards, not sort of, relying on, heading into the zone there, doing that little button hook and then giving it to the defenseman, and then the defenseman just puts it on net for no reason whatsoever there. So glad to see the Oilers sort of, getting away from the dependency on the point shots from defensemen there. And then Connor Clattenburg only played 5.5 minutes there, but I mean, he didn't do anything bad, didn't do anything great there. He's getting up in the grill of AJ Greer to end off the third period last night, and I think the coaches sort of talked to him saying, hey, that game you have down in the AHL, it's great to see glimpses of that up here, but don't do that every single time you're out on the ice there. And he's even close to getting his first NHL goal there, 2-on-1. Missed the net just barely there, but I loved what I saw from Clattenburg last night, even if that was, a fraction of what he provides down in the AHL. You can see the heat map here from the shots. The Oilers, again, not relying on those point shots, but I am loving there. They're finally realizing, hey, the goal of hockey, get as close as you can to the net and try to score there. And there's, sort of that blue sort of wave in front of, Bobrovsky before he was pulled in Daniil Tarasov. Meanwhile, the Oilers just trying to, keep the Florida Panthers at bay. But even, despite the fact they're lacking Matthew Tkachuk, Aaron Ekblad, Alexander Barkov, why did I forget his name? Despite the fact they're missing those 3 players there, Florida, still a very tough team to play against. And the fact that the Oilers, again, were able to weather the storm, loved what I saw from them last night. And again, Stuart Skinner, 3 goals against, 5.12 expected goals against there, 12 high danger shots against. That's not something I want to see every single night there, but again, 10 high danger saves. Didn't have to, flash the leather a whole lot of times. Just had to be steady, and he just had to be reactive to the shot, and that is what we need from Stuart Skinner. A little more consistency there. And despite the fact that the Oilers could have let the game get away from them in the second period, they're giving up 20 shots on net. They bounced back in the third period, and that is what I like to see from this Edmonton squad. Despite the fact that, times get tough, they can always bounce back, be a goldfish, and just forget about what happened in the second period, come out flying in the third period, or at least, try to keep your foot on the gas. And Kris Knoblauch is saying we should be pleased. There were some games that got away from us, but to say going in that we were going to be 500 on this road trip, that's okay. How some of those games slipped away, like the Tampa Bay Lightning game, was a little bitter for us, but overall, I liked how our guys are going. It was long, it was grueling, but I thought our best effort in the last 2 games was our best. It's not easy coming here to Tampa Bay in Florida, but our guys were really focused and did the little things that we needed to do there. Now, the Oilers have 2 days off, Sunday and Monday, before they are back at it again against the Dallas Stars on Tuesday night. Dallas losing in a shootout last night to the Calgary Flames there, and I'm pretty sure we will see Jake Ottinger between the pipes for that one on Tuesday night. But that is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about last night's game. How do you think the Oilers will build off of that? Again, let me know down in the comments. It sucks, after, a big momentum swinging final game to the road trip. The Oilers only have 2 games this week against Dallas in Seattle, so hopefully they can use that time to rest and sort of improve on what they have been building. But again, let me know your thoughts from last night's game, and if you haven't already, folks, make sure you subscribe here to the channel. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks. Take care. Let's go Oilers. I'm Matt.